Hey, what's up everybody? This is Kelly Berry from Kelly Berry Media, and today I wanted to do a brief review of the Sony FE 28-70 3.5 to 5.6 lens. This is for the Sony Alpha line of cameras, and as you can see here I have my Sony A7II. The image quality is very good, but I have to say image quality isn't always everything, and I know that's the bottom line, that's the most important thing, is the images that you receive out of the lens. But there's certain things about this lens that kind of keep it at the bottom of my bag, if you will. I don't really use it too often, and I guess that's why it's taken me so long to actually do a review of this lens. Now this lens is pretty much completely plastic, other than the mount to the camera itself, which is metal. This is a very plasticky lens, and coming from something like the Zeiss Loxia or some of my older, Zeiss contacts, Yashica 85 millimeters, things like that, this feels relatively cheap, and it is cheap in price as well. I mean, this thing's about, I think about $350. You can find one used somewhere around there, and brand new it's about $450. So it's not an expensive lens. So here we have the lens itself. It is a pretty good looking lens, and especially, let me put it on the Sony A7II real quick, just to kind of show you what it's gonna look like once it's mounted. So, together it looks like a pretty good lens. It does the job, and actually, because it's made of plastic and it's very lightweight, that comes in handy if you're traveling a lot. So it does come in handy for certain situations. That being said, the 3.5 to 5.6, it really frustrates me. Anytime I have a variable zoom or a variable aperture like that, it really frustrates me because I always have to consider, okay, if I'm zoomed all the way out at 28 millimeters, I'm at 3.5 and that's the maximum aperture. And if I'm at 70 millimeters, my maximum aperture is 5.6. So that's really frustrating, always having to remember that if I'm zoomed in all the way that I always have to be at 5.6. And if I'm doing, running and gunning and doing portraits, things like that, it kind of becomes a problem. And that's where you kind of want something more along the lines of the Sony Zeiss 24-70 f4 lens, or if you're in a different body altogether or camera system, go with like a Canon or a Nikon 24-70 f2.8. And that's the whole reason is they have those apertures at f2.8, because you get constant aperture at f2.8, and I think that's a big reason of why they're so expensive. That's a part of the reason why, at least. I don't really use it too often, and that's why it's just taken me so long to do this review. It's a good lens, but I mean, I don't use it too often. And the lenses that I end up using most often are actually my Zeiss Loxia 50mm f2 and my Zeiss 85mm f1.4 contacts Yashica mount. I mean, those two are both manual focus lenses, and I find myself using those pretty much 95 to 98% of the time versus this one, which has autofocus and which makes life a whole lot easier. I just don't really use it. But, if somebody's just starting out, or if they're just looking for a good point and shoot or something to just take around with you and go on vacation, I actually did bring this lens with me on vacation recently when I traveled to Cape Town, South Africa, because I just wanted a lens that had autofocus for my camera. And I have to say, traveling with the Sony A7II is just a joy if you're going to be traveling around and you want something that's a lot smaller. And being in a place like South Africa, you don't want to have a huge, monstrous, look at me, I have this $5,000 camera when you're traveling around places like that. So it was really nice to have this Sony A7II. Overall, it's a good lens. It's just not for everybody, and in my personal opinion, I kind of wish I would have saved up a little bit more for the Sony 24-70 f4 Zeiss lens. So if you guys have any questions about this lens, I know it was a brief review, but I just wanted to get that out there, and hope you guys enjoyed. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you very much. Until next time.